All right. Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tiffany here with Coach Dana for our Lunch Bites. Lunch Bites, if you're on the East Coast, I'm going to say lunch, almost lunch, if you're here, Mountain Standard Time. But either way, I am just excited to have Dana here with me today. And we are going to kind of get into the whole thing about fruit and can you have it? Should you have it? All this stuff. And so Dana, let's just go right into it. Let's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Y-
What are your thoughts? What do you want to share with
Oh my gosh,
everyone?
I know, there's so much, I feel like, uh, so much we can dive into here.
Yes.
And I want to kind of keep this one a little like free flowing so we can maybe go back and forth a little. But kind of what sparked my interest on this topic is just, I don't know. I mean, I've been seeing so many places where people in this space are basically just vilifying eating any type of fruit, and even sometimes vegetables. And I've even have had clients come to me or direct message me or ask me like, well, so and so said I really shouldn't eat fruit. um, and people get very very stuck on that, and they think just all of a sudden, number one, they're taking fruit out of their diet and they think that's going to be the answer, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's a couple of things without getting too, ranty on the subject. But I think the important thing to remember, when we're faced with these rules or, falsisms or things that are being thrown out in the space, like all fruit is bad, it's never one thing, right? Like it's
Right.
so important to remember, like when it comes down to your health journey, your diet, whatever it is, it's never one thing. And that's actually that's from EC Sinkowski, who runs the Consistency Project. Great podcast, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
for you guys out there. But she talks about this a lot. Like it's never just one thing. So we love to sort of gravitate to
Mm-hmm.
rules, right? Whether the rules are, low carb, it's keto, it's paleo, it's, this pill, this new syrup, right? Like this is gonna be it. This is gonna be the one thing. And it's never one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when it comes to fruit, listen, I could poll probably every personal trainer, nutrition person, dietitian. They will not be able to find a client of theirs who became overweight or unhealthy because they ate too much fruit. I'm just going to say it. I just don't. I think it's a problem that we're creating. Sure, there are people that may have to monitor, right,
Mm-hmm.
their intake of certain foods because of the way it affects, glucose and insulin response. And if that's you, you should be working specifically with someone who can help address that. But for the average person, for the majority of people out there, fruit, vegetables, whole foods, my gosh, this is the last thing we want to be taking out of your diet, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
yes, fruit and veggies, they're carbs, but they're not standalone like table sugar. And I know that's what like I've seen these like memes out there where people are like, here's an apple, and then here's how much it converts to in like table sugar. And I'm like, this is so false. It's so misleading because
Mm-hmm.
there's so much more in things like fruit. Your fiber, your micronutrients, your phytochemicals. There's so much more in what you're eating. So again, like now we're telling people to take out fruit. And funny thing, like people who maybe are doing keto or, other high fat, high protein, like they're not eating fruit and they're eating like 70 pieces of bacon a day. Like what are we doing? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, there's nothing wrong with a ketogenic diet if you're doing it the right way and you have someone who can support you. But again, we have a lot of people doing keto-ish, like they think they're doing keto and they think that they can eat like that and
Mm-hmm.
never have like the important micronutrients that you're going to get from fruits and vegetables. So um, I did a live with Jess Cording. She's a registered dietitian, and she said we were talking about bananas, but same difference, right? And
Yeah.
she was like, bananas, like what is going on with bananas? They need a new PR person. And I'm like, they do, like fruits in general.
Yeah.
They need a new PR person. They need the avocado PR person, the person who like brought back the avocado a couple of years ago and have all those great commercials
Hmm.
on avocados. Like that's what needs to happen with fruit.
Yeah.
And fruit is okay. And listen, if you're concerned about glucose insulin response, I always encourage clients to get more protein in their
Hmm.
diet. So if you want to like have that absorption be slower, just pair it with a little protein, right?
Yeah.
Pair it with like a nut butter, pair it with a protein source when you're having your snack. But by all means, please let's not get into the situation where you're not eating fruit. I don't
Yeah.
know. What do you think? What do you think, Tiff?
I totally agree. And I think kind of along those same lines, when either fruit is vilified or even things like carrots or potatoes,
Yeah.
because they're high on the glycemic index. And what people fail to recognize or realize is that, like, just like you said, like, a lot of times these so-called high glycemic fruits and vegetables, we don't just eat them by themselves. I mean, I don't
Right.
know, maybe someone does eat just a plain baked potato all by itself. But, same with the fruit. Like you said, if we eat them in with other foods, which a lot of times I don't want to
Yes.
generalize, but I think it's a lot of times we do eat them with other things, then that totally changes how it affects your blood sugar
Yes.
and all that stuff. So you gave a perfect example of, especially for those that maybe do need to watch their blood glucose and the insulin and all that stuff, is to pair it with some protein, a little bit of fat or whatever, so it kind of helps stabilize and your blood sugars, and we don't have that spike, where
Yeah.
um and the other thoughts, just hearing you kind of talk about this too, is I know in the past I've worked with clients, before, that were um how to put this, like they felt like they were, I don't even want to say felt, they were eating, according to their food log and everything, they were eating mainly whole foods, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
still struggling with, maybe not being able to lose weight. And I
Yep.
think when we analyze or kind of look over their food journal and things like that, one of the things that popped out is it's the portion size.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we can have fruit, we can have pasta, we can have those potatoes or whatever it is, but let's maybe focus more on the portion versus I just can't have it at all. So, for carbohydrates, a portion or a serving of carbs is, maybe, well, if we're using our hand size, again, a cup
Yeah.
handful, or that is the
Exactly.
equivalent to about a quarter to a half a cup. That's not huge. And if you have like a big banana, then maybe a portion of that is going to be half a banana or
Mm-hmm.
quarter of a banana, or same thing like with an apple or orange, or the size of the portion. So I just think that's important to point out as well, just because, again, it's a carb, they can still fit in. We just need to pay attention to the portions. And a
Yeah.
lot
And
of
that's
times,
such a, yeah, I mean, such a great point. Like paying attention to portions. And listen, like I think again, it's hard to it's sort of hard to overdo fruits and veggies. I think even portion wise, because they do have all that fiber and water content, and so they fill you up, right?
mm-hmm,
But that's a
mm-hmm,
great point. So just and sometimes like we can overdo it with the toppings, especially on our like sauteed vegetables and things like how much oil are you
mm-hmm,
cooking it in, how much
yeah,
butter are you adding, right? So yes, you can overdo it in that respect, but you'd be better served, like Tiffany was saying, to watch your other carbs, your more processed carbs, and make sure you're keeping those within portions,
yeah,
because it is hard, especially in today's world. I mean, you go to a restaurant and every meal you order out generally is probably for two people,
yes,
right? Like,
yes,
so, and that's tough. If you're someone who eats out a lot, it's very hard to control your
mm-hmm,
portions if you're someone who eats out a lot.
mm-hmm,
Even it's even hard to control healthy, because a healthy salad when you go out, you order a Panera salad or something, a regular size. I mean, you're probably over 1,000 calories for a healthy lunch, right? And
Yes.
that's the tricky stuff. So again, like watch for these other things and don't get lost in this like minutia of fruit and fructose. You know, people hear fructose and they think they associate with high fructose corn syrup, which are two completely different things.
Yes.
So like just because the fructose just means fruit sugar, has nothing to do with high fructose corn syrup. Um, Eat your fruits, eat your veggies. I tell my clients we work on 4 to 6 fruits and veggies combined per day. We titrate up, you know, as they go through. But really, this is not something that should be top of mind. Avoiding
Yeah,
is your fruits.
I
So
agree. And I
yeah,
think kind of along those same lines is, it's harder to overeat, when it comes to whole foods versus
yeah.
processed foods. It's really easy to overeat. And I think for me, what I've noticed too, and sometimes the clients that I'm working with where, weight loss is a main goal of theirs, is trying to get them to eat more of the fruits and vegetables versus drink. Because for me,
Mm,
sometimes a smoothie is a really convenient way to get in, a lot of fruits and vegetables that I
yes.
might not otherwise get in, or get in otherwise. Yeah. But sometimes, again, back to the whole portion, when we make the smoothies, I would have clients that were like, well, when I ask, well, what's in your smoothie? It might be like a whole banana and then like a cup of frozen berries and then some juice and then some so I
Yes.
think that's smoothies are great. And I think I rely on them. And I know some of my clients do, just to be able to get in some of those greens and fruits. But that's, I think,
Yeah.
maybe if anything, where and like you said, the salads, when
Hmm.
they're huge, that's great, but it's sometimes the toppings and things that can
Yeah.
easily add up. But generally speaking, yeah, I think it's just, and I've noticed, and I've tried to make it, when I say rules, I'm very particular about what I call rules for myself, but
Yeah.
I try to front load my day. So instead of starting with, something that's maybe not whole foods, I try to front load with some protein and with some fruit,
Yes.
with some whole foods. And I've noticed that it really helps curb my cravings and appetite and those things
100%.
that, so like you said, we don't have to limit, or what's the word, cut out, the processed things. But if we can front load with the whole foods, I
Yeah.
think then that just helps still make room for the less whole food choices, but it's easier to not overdo it.
100%. I mean, we know that by the end of the day, there's always that decision fatigue, right? So if we can
Yes.
front load that stuff, I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
Wake up, get your hydration in, make sure you're getting a good chunk of protein,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is, at your breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and fill it with whole foods because like you're less tired, you're more opportunity to have food in front of
Mm-hmm.
you, whatever is in your houses. So that's
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's a great point to start the day off on the right foot, get the protein and get those whole foods in the morning.
Yeah.
Um, and it will help with, especially with cravings later in the day,
Yeah, for
for
sure.
sure. Yeah.
So
Awesome.
yeah, this has been great. I think that was
Yeah.
super helpful just to hear, again, talking through some of those things where it's just really easy to kind of, I guess, with no better comparison, like look at things through such a narrow lens that we forget to
Yeah.
take in the big picture. So thanks
Absolutely.
for just bringing this
Yeah.
topic up. I
You're
think this was a
welcome.
really good one to chat about today. So, and before we sign off, how did your challenge go? Your metabolic?
Challenge went great. We
Yay!
had, yeah, I think I had close to 70 people
That's
participate
awesome.
over the week, which was awesome. And we just touched on a different point each day, just to kind of get people, kind of a
Mhm.
refocus. So it
Yes.
went great, and I'm kicking up another round of my program starting next week. So if anyone's interested, that's
Okay.
my 8-week program, Weighted and Unweighted. So feel free to reach out anybody if you're interested. And I know you have something going on now too, right, Tiff? Did I see you?
I'm contemplating and I think I'm going to do it. Just, I
Okay.
talked about, I was just finished up some interviews with women who struggle
Yeah.
with stress and emotional eating, and it was super super helpful. And I work one-on-one with clients all the time, and this is something I've struggled with in the past that I was able to overcome, and I help a lot of my clients work through this as well. But I want to be able to, I've always wanted to be able to kind of create kind of a group course type thing
Mm-hmm.
versus the individualized thing where I focus on stress and emotional eating. And so my next kind of phase, I was just putting feelers out there to see if
Yeah.
people would be interested in kind of just a 4-week beta mini course on
Mm-hmm.
stress and emotional eating. And particularly the purpose of this would be to create awareness around why you're doing it. And so, yeah, I've got some response people that are interested in it. So I think I'm going to do it. So I'll be sharing maybe some more information as I kind of put this together and finalize the
Great.
details. But it's going to help me, kind of just process through and kind of maybe figure out what specific things are going to work best, in that course to help people. But at the same time, help people, women, kind of work through in 4 weeks, kind of work through and get some awareness and just answers to that will help them kind of have hopefully some aha moments on their behaviors and the eating and how that will help them with their weight loss goals. So there you go. That was
Awesome.
longer spiel than I wanted it to be. But
Ah, all good. So
yes,
lots of ways to connect with us, if anyone's looking to go deeper for sure. And
absolutely.
yeah, and we'll do it again in 2 weeks, right?
Yep. And I was going to say, as usual, just Dana, make sure you drop a link in the
Yes.
comments so people know how to reach out to you if they want to find more about your program coming up. And I'm just seeing, yeah, I don't see any other comments. So with that,
Okay.
we will
Awesome.
sign off and we'll see everyone in 2 weeks from
2
today.
weeks. All right. Sounds
Okay.
great.
Thanks, Dana.
Thanks,
See
Tiff. All
everyone.
right. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.